Good morning, YouTube. It is a beautiful, although slightly chilly by Phoenix standards, morning. 65 degrees outside. It's Thursday, November 30th, 2023, 9:37 a.m. I wanted to give myself a little bit more time than this to get over to REN, which stands for Recovery Empowerment Network. I looked at that card like 3 times last night, trying to remind myself what time I needed to be up and what time I needed to head out and be there for my intake. So it's a peer support center. It offers an anger management group that the mental health court of the city of Phoenix accepts. I don't really know too much about it, other than I was told it has a gym that has some kind of personal trainer. That's exciting. Now, I was once involved with a peer support group, and this was, Jesus, about 15, 16 years ago. I had to stop going there. The place was called Cheers, by the way. It was located near where my clinic used to be located, on Heather Bray, just west of 19th Avenue. And initially, gosh, I think this is before Tara was even my case manager. Before then I had, hey look, it's done, it's built. I haven't come this way in so long. It just feels like that place just sprung up overnight. You know, the new coffee drive-thru is open. It's called Scooters. Gosh, last time I went by there was a space where they were getting ready to start some construction and a construction fence around it. And I recall me trying to read the sign that said what was going in that space and being kind of disappointed that it wasn't anything I recognized. Well, I'm not one for using coffee drive-thrus, so it's not going to be of much help to me. Wow, I just noticed my fuel was a little on the low side. That's okay. I should have enough to get over to REN and make it back to Costco. So as I was saying, Cheers was a peer support center that I was involved in, next to where the Heather Bray Clinic used to be. And my case manager before Tara, and that was back when, I want to say it was called ComCare, but it might have changed names to Value Options at that time. I always struggle remembering the current name of my mental health clinic just because the company operating them pursuant to state contract has changed so many times, which results in the clinics changing names. I kind of wish, for the sake of the people's mental health that the clinics help, that they were required by law to keep and own and operate the clinics with the same name. But of course, that doesn't work well when the clinics are named after the companies that operate them. It's almost as if they need their own identity with a different name to give some kind of permanence, since those awarded contracts by the state of Arizona obviously have no permanence. And I'm sure, like everything else by the state of Arizona, it goes out to the lowest bidder, which results in such great quality service for the severely mentally ill who rely on those services. So anyway, yeah, I guess I'll be passing on the right. That's fabulous. Cheers was the support center that I got involved in. Sometimes I just went there just for a place to be, where I could be surrounded by other people who have the same kind of mental illness issues that I have. And I actually hosting a karaoke show there once a week, which I didn't get paid cash for, but I got paid with what was called bingo bucks. I still, somewhere in an envelope, have a huge amount of bingo bucks, and I always joke that I was saving up to have enough to buy their old van when they got a new one. Because bingo bucks were used in this little store that they had called the Bingo Buck Store, of course. And I think I'm going to get out of this lane. And in the store was a mixture of just random things they came across, like donated items or things that used to belong to the center that the center really didn't need anymore. Paid from secondhand super, for literally nothing for bingo bucks. You got bingo bucks for volunteering or for attending. I volunteered to do the karaoke show. Or for attending different groups and participating in stuff. They also had staples there. And I don't mean staples like the kind used to hold paper together, but things like soap and shampoo and toilet paper and paper towels. Things that food stamps probably should buy that they don't. I mean, does anybody else find it weird that food stamps can't buy toilet paper or diapers or tampons, but they can be used to purchase pre-prepared crab meat cocktails? And do I feel guilty for using my SNAP benefits about a month ago to buy a prepared crab meat cocktail? No, not really. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So, church was a big part of my life for a long time, and it really helped me deal with the pain I was going through when my ex-wife was completely into that guy's cutting over lanes. Thanks, asshole. I think I saw that coming and gave him a little space. A lot of Phoenix drivers would have just accelerated just to edge him out, to be a dick. Although I'm not going to lie, I did for just part of a second think about doing that. Because, damn, dude, if you're going to be making that left exit, probably be in the left lane. So being there helped a lot to, I don't know if I want to say fill the void, but at least fill the time. Because at that point I wasn't working, I wasn't really able to work. And I could explain that in more detail. I don't think now's the time for it though, but I due to my mental health and also due to services I was trying to get, which I needed for my mental health, I wasn't able to work at that time. So it left a lot of time on my hands where I was just going through a lot of mental anguish because my ex-wife absolutely wouldn't let me see my daughter, who at the time was a toddler. And prior to my wife and I splitting up, I had been the primary caregiver for her. I was a stay-at-home dad, which doesn't mean I didn't work out of the house. I did work out of the house, but I worked out of the house at night. I was a nighttime cab driver. I was out driving all night. And in the daytime, when baby took naps, I took naps. And my wife worked a day job, full-time. She had a really good job at Intuit Software. I was the one who got up and nursed her. Yes, I put her right on my move, and no, I didn't. That doesn't work. That's weird transition and stuff. No, my ex-wife pumped, and I had bottles of breast milk in the fridge. And there's a whole procedure for getting that the right temperature for a baby. I did that. And at that time, like the bond I had, the parental bond that I had with my daughter Allison was way stronger than a typical paternal bond. It really, really ripped me apart. But there are still LifeWell signs on that building on the right there. Meanwhile, the building that was on the right there is completely gone, but at least they put up a fence to stop people from squatting on that property, which is helpful. Not for the people who were squatting on the property, but, helpful for everybody else. So, yeah, there was quite a time period where I had ordered joint physical custody. I was supposed to have her 3 days a week, and ex-wife wasn't letting me do it. She wasn't complying with the order, and I was fighting through the courts trying to get compliance and trying to get some kind of reevaluation of that, and it was a really tough time in my life, and being involved in a mental health peer support center helped me with that. Just if for no other reason than it had me around people. Now, I already had my apartment in... Wait a minute. No, I was going to say trying to think back to that time period is really foggy. I think I started going to Cheers before I got my apartment, so I was still homeless. So that was good because it kind of gave me a place to clean up, a place to be. And then after I got my apartment, I did continue to go there. Now that was after I did manage to get Allison back, because I got Allison back before I got my apartment to me. But ultimately, Allison ended up being the reason that I stopped going there, because I ended up not really having as much free time. And then when I did have free time, I had Allison. And initially they were okay with me bringing Allison there. And then at some point they said I couldn't bring Allison there anymore. And when I got understandably upset about that, one of the directors took me into his office and explained that the reason... Oh, and I wanted to turn left there to get to REN. Whoops. Just looking to the left and seeing the REN building with a big sign that says REN. As I hear in my head the voice of Stimpy saying, "REN, I'll make you happy." And I could have turned left to an entrance there if it wasn't for the construction. So, I wrap this story up. I'm about here. Yeah, he said that they had members and he couldn't say who, and I'm like, well, that would be completely appropriate for you to tell me who anyway, but thank you. But they said they had members that were, per court order, not allowed to be near children. So, do the math and figure out why that is. Yikes. You're not allowed to be near children, and that as a result of that, it looks like probably people that are members of that are outside, so they have a place to smoke. I'm sure glad I've never been afflicted with that addiction. So, yeah, they said that there were people that were court ordered. They're not allowed to be around children, and tried to make it sound like I should be afraid to have my daughter there with me. Well, mind you, my daughter at that time was 3 years old, something like that. It's hard to think of Allison being 2 or 3 years old now that she's 21. But she was never out of my sight. She was never out of my sight. There was no chance anybody could have done anything inappropriate with her, because she was literally never out of my sight. And she's usually sitting down right next to me, or she was, she's right there with me. I was right there with her. I was a very, very attentive parent when she was at that age. So, anyway, I gotta go in. I got my intake here. Hopefully this goes well. Just coming here, it just sort of had me thinking back of really what this place is, because yesterday in my head it was like the place to get my anger management, but now that I'm actually here, I'm realizing that, yeah, this is going to be like Cheers, and remembering just how much Cheers added to my life in a positive way. As much as I hate the reason that I'm here and the bullshit that's going on in the Phoenix City Court, I feel like this is an open door for me that could be a really, really good thing for me.